United States. I have no idea what time it is down and under, but it is time for Shiny Side Out with Dave and Mickey. So I hope you have your tinfoil hat all made and cinched down tight over your ears. So take it away, Dave and Mickey.
Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mickey.
There he is. And this is Shiny Side Out, broadcasting from Australia for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's the website name. And that's the home of fresh ideas. Buy some merchandise or donate if you like anything we say. Join us in the chat room. That's a good reminder. That's a reminder for me to join the chat room. Thank you very much. Show notes. And you know what? Donate if you like anything we say. Right. Now you can talk to us while we're in air. And this is show number 684.
480 and 600.
Right there. Who knew that was going to be the truth one day? Tune in to us online on your smart device directly via an app, or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. Digital radio. I'm putting the mic in shot. We had a little discussion about that prior to the show starting. Things fell off my mic.
Hello. Anybody there?
Hello. Yeah, right. Okay. So if you missed Solaris' show, she had a great show. It was Jared Murphy and Christy Bass. Jared Murphy is the author of It's Not Aliens. Worse, It's Us. They had a great discussion. Christy Bass has a diverse background, including her work in aerial LiDAR and imagery. Ooh. Hot topics right now. So, Mickey, I'm broadcasting, you won't be able to guess, from Dark and Junk Country.
I'm in the land of the wise Mohicans. No, I'm in direct country.
Oh, really?
That's right. That's right.
I got to get my camera set up properly. It's not fair for those people who can't see it because I'm not showing it yet on screen. There's so definitely some work to do. And it was 30 degrees or 29 degrees outside today. It feels like summer all over again.
That is the truth.
So
it was hot.
Hot.
And
not a promo, but I'm living on this at the moment. I just displayed a can of Monster energy drink. Now, Mikey, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. Now, if you thought your land was Oprah Winfrey free, you are now, if you're living in the US. She's moved. Just like Bates has moved to Ireland. And
did she go to Canada?
No, I think she went. No one knows where Oprah Winfrey has gone yet, but I know Bates. Remember from that movie where she breaks his legs? She's moved to Ireland with the accent, but she hasn't got the accent yet. That's that. I went Liverpudlian at the end there. Goodness me.
I don't know what you did there. What?
What? Who?
Who said that?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So, I had a good conversation today, Mickey. I want to tell you. And
with another person?
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's progress. That's excellent. Remember what the therapist said? Other people are people too. What? Why do you say these things?
See, now I'm going to say that's funny right there. So, I had a conversation with, and can you believe who it was? It was my wife.
Hey.
And, good times. And
good times.
This was talking about how crazy the world is. And where we, both of us, are intrigued about how this world has changed so rapidly to the point where there's more going on this time around from Trump's win in the election than last time. People said they were going to leave the US. That was my segue. But they didn't really do it. I think there's 6,100 people that have now registered as left the country. Believe it or not. It's crazy. There's some big numbers. But I think the main point is that we were able to agree, this is my wife and I, we were able to agree just how significant these changes are. And as you and I have spoken before, Mekki, how swift change comes when change is afoot. The balance of trade across the planet is all in the air. And I remarked, as our audience knows this one, but I remarked at how painful it is to watch the people who, I'm not going to say they're sycophants, right? But the people who are supporting Trump, how, and that is in all, it's in media, it's in with his own team, how pleased they are. They may be too pleased. It was like when my friends went to see the Titanic movie and they were over the moon to the point where that turned me off going to see the movie entirely. And I can live today, 2025, I can still say that I haven't seen Titanic.
Really?
And I mean that because people were so over the moon with it, and it won all the awards and blah, 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 that its fame turned me off it. And so, if I liken that to how I'm going to use the word repulsed, how repulsed I am because of the amount of happiness and joy exhibited by those who are pleased that Trump is now in power, as opposed to the extreme left, all in the media, who are besides themselves with hate and anger that he is in power. There's very few people in the middle ground, in between there, except for me. I feel like I'm all alone in the middle because it's not even my country. So why should I care so much? But when I see how pleased people are, it means that inside they'll make biased decisions that support that happiness. They will lean in on their bias of happiness because that's a cause of it, and continue to do things that support it. Now, this can accelerate. I'm putting a warning screen up here. It could accelerate a shift further to the right than we've ever seen in the history of humanity. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just saying their pleasure seemed to be driven by how much they're achieving, and if they're not careful and they don't self-center themselves and they don't take stock of where they're at and try to remain there, I just don't know. Maybe it could turn out like Starmer's, England, with all the rules, and you can't even say whose birthday is it meant to be? Is it representative today, right? Rebirth, right? You're not even allowed to say that person's historical name in reference in England without getting arrested. Can't go in public. So, because I was watching a show today of a protest happening, and this person was yelling in the name of blah, 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 and then was immediately arrested. Like, what's going on? Then there wasn't anything we saw that occurred before then. It might have been for another cause. another reason. But if that's happening in England, and that seems to be the censorship like there's no tomorrow. They've got cameras now that have face rec. They put them up in all the protests. As soon as a protest happens, they put all these cameras up and they can see everyone and face rec them all. If that's Keir Starmer's England, then what are we doing in the US? Is it the complete, 90 to 180 degrees, 90 degrees at least away from it? Is it softer? What are we seeing? And one of the biggest arguments today came about, not my relationship and argument, this is a discussion. No, one of the big things that is now coming out and has been opposed even by the people who dislike Trump is that DEI cancellation. Maine is being sued by the government for objecting and resisting the DEI cancellation. And in this conversation from the right, the lawsuit states they fail to protect females. And so they've included now a directive to add more security, obey the rule, and their punishment is withholding funds from the government to the education system. So there was a single trans athlete who competed whose time would have been 43rd, I think, if they competed in the male event, but they competed in the female event and they came first. So the willful admission in this lawsuit, which I think is a standout to me, says we acknowledge that males are faster or stronger athletically, which is a big turnaround to females can do anything. That's fantastic. Good for you. I don't doubt that that's true. But this admission now says there is a difference, and we have to respect that difference. Now, if I had a girl in America who was competing against a trans athlete, I'd be disappointed, because if you continually lose, then are you getting better on the inside? Are you feeling as though you can accomplish it? No, it's just continual beating down, I suppose. And look, this was the debate that we were having today. And the strength in argument towards the shift from DEI and immediately away is so quick it's breaking people's necks, metaphorically. Now, I think there's a challenge there for people to understand what it means. Here's my center view. For change that might be happening slowly, not organically, but slowly, and then it rectified or gone against really, really rapidly. So, look, Mackie, what are your thoughts on anything that I've said?
Yeah, look, let's take it from the top. I take a somewhat different view on the administration. So, first things first, you can never believe anything a politician says. It's always a lie. Okay, that's my base assumption. If you're a politician and your mouth moves, you're lying, right? So, election promises, all of these things that are being said in the run-up to taking office, you really have to dismiss. There's no element of truth to any of it. This is about winning the votes by any means necessary, right? Goes right back as far as we remember in ancient history. Even in Rome, they used to pay people to vote. Just forget lying.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, just take some money and vote for me. No, look. But what you can do is judge any given administration government by what it has achieved. Donald Trump is now well over 90 days in his second term, and the question that you ask yourself is this: all right, are we in a objectively, are we in an objectively better place? Are we in an objectively better place? Subjectively, maybe some people feel better because Donald Trump is there, MAGA is there, and so forth. And the funny thing is this: I looked at a lot of numbers and analyses today. Do you know what the rate of change is in his support from his MAGA supporters, the people that voted for him and are dyed in the wool support? Do you know what the percentage change is in support? It's only 2%. It's nothing. Overall, swing voters, they feel a little bit sheepish, I guess, in some instances. But overall, his base hasn't changed their mind. Okay, because people always say, everybody's regretting voting for Trump. Mm-hmm. That's not true.
I heard that too.
That is not true.
No, but went
it's
up
not true.
2%.
No, it actually went down. But that's okay. Doesn't matter.
I saw a graph that showed it collapsing and then coming back up to level, and I don't know who that was.
So this is, it's the latest I saw this morning. Anyway, that's
okay.
neither here nor there.
That's right.
The point is, his support hasn't really changed in his base. However, what has happened? What have we seen in this administration's approach to, the world, anything, even internally? Okay, rapid action. That is definitely one tick in the box. And action, and very few things that Donald Trump has done were taken to Congress. So virtually nothing he has signed into existence with his executive orders is a law. So as soon as he leaves office, the next president can just rescind those orders and say, well, that doesn't work, so let's just go. So what happened? Deportation of illegal immigrants. This is in full swing, and with the expected, in my opinion, mistakes that were made, including the deportation of innocent, people, if you will. If you've seen the movie Born in East LA, which Cheech Marin, that'll tell you that these things can happen. It's actually a funny movie. If you haven't seen it, Born in East LA, it's really great. It's one of my favorite comedies. Born in East LA. Anyway, so that happened. But there are worrying signs here of things to come. What else has happened? The Gaza war is in full swing. The Israelis are now annexing territory in Gaza, meaning ethnic cleansing is underway. That's a thing. The end game, as I've said from the start, was to expel the Palestinian population from Gaza completely. That was always the game. I won't go into what I think about the October attack. That's going to go too far. Ukraine. The peace that Donald Trump said he could do in 24 hours obviously has not materialized. In fact, the Americans are now looking to walk away from any peace negotiations, right? Because Putin, he doesn't care what Trump thinks. He doesn't care.
He doesn't.
Putin will do what Putin. No, well, he does, of course not. But Putin will do what Putin will do, right? And if anybody at this point thinks that Putin is not pulling the strings for Donald Trump, I'm sorry, but you're living under a rock. We'll go into that some more later, even in the mind control section. And this is something else that you mentioned earlier as well, the almost slavish admiration that you find in the administration for Donald Trump. I've watched a lot of news footage now, and it's incredible. These people, it's not a meeting per se, it's just a thank you, Donald Trump, thank you, Mr. President, thank you for this, thank you for making the country safer, thank you for doing this, that, and the other, and he just sits there and nods. I've never seen anything like it, even in the corporate world. I've never seen anything like it. This level, and I will call it sycophancy because that's what it is. I have never ever seen anywhere outside a comedy movie, like any of the Mel Brooks movies. I don't know if you've seen those; they're hilarious. Right? That's the level of. We're actually at the comedic level of sycophancy, right? Where you think, is this real? And what's his name? I forget his name. Not Colbert.
Jon Stewart.
It'll come to me in a second. Jon Stewart. He actually said this. He watches it, and he asks himself, "Are they making fun of him? Is this like a roasting? Is this what's happening?" Because it's not normal. To Dave's point, it is not normal behavior, and that's why we started this whole mind control cycle now with you guys. It is not normal behavior. It is impossible for a group of people to be completely aligned, okay? Unless there's a threat of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a group of people, and if you work in the world, if you're part of the world, you know this. You've got 10 people in a room, you've got 11 opinions. That's how it normally goes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in an administration of arguably alpha personalities, for all of them to fall completely into line with whatever Donald Trump says, any nuance, even what he doesn't say, and then defend him when he flip-flops and really throws them under the bus, is unprecedented unless you're living in an authoritarian regime where your life is under threat. Okay?
Or you have a common
Hitler,
enemy.
Well, not even then.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you've become an enemy, this kind of behavior is not normal. Okay? Nobody agrees 100% of the time with everything everybody else says. It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely unprecedented. But okay, here we are. What is interesting, though, is the flip-flopping, right? And the abrogation of responsibility. Donald Trump says, I don't know about Signal. I don't know about the deportation of this one guy. And whenever you ask him a difficult question, it's, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. You got to ask the Department of Justice, or you got to ask the Defense Secretary, or whatever. Now, if you're the president, unlike a corporation, which is very weaselly, the buck stops with you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody around the president serves at the pleasure of the president. The president has ultimate decision power as to his circle of people. Not about the judiciary, okay? Not about a Congress or Senate, but about his people, the executive. All of his people, all the people that are secretary of this and head of that, they are there because he put them there, right? That's absolutely true. So, but ultimately he is responsible for it, for whatever happens. You can't just, palm it off to someone else. But that's what's happening. I don't know about this. First time I hear about this. I keep hearing it. It's astounding. It's very much what Scott Morrison did here in Australia. He completely shirked all responsibility for anything. That's not really my job. He actually said this. This is not really my job. You're the prime minister. Of course it's your job. So but that aside, the failure to bring about peace in Gaza and Ukraine doesn't surprise me. The willingness to walk away from all of this, though, does, because we haven't heard anything about Gaza or negotiations there. And recently, maybe they're not going on anymore. I don't know, but nothing is happening. In the Ukraine, like I said, America is ready to walk away, and Europe is now standing on its own 2 feet. Now, what Donald Trump has done is a really interesting thing, right? Let's take a step back, and then I don't want to talk too much about Donald Trump because there are other things that are happening in the world. But what he has done, he has managed to isolate America, and I don't care how many people call him to make a deal, right? Because in their mind, Donald Trump is going to be there for 4 years. We just got to placate him and strike a deal with him. What happens after that, we'll see, right? So there's no permanence to any of Donald Trump's policies or activities unless he stays in power. But that's again a different scenario, which is getting more and more likely. By the way, I've looked at a lot of analyses, Dave, from political scientists and leading scholars in this field. And there are 2 crisis points that are fast approaching, which make it almost inevitable for Donald Trump to declare martial law and call in the militia, right? Within the next few weeks even. But again, that probably will take the conversation too deep into the unpleasant world of reality. So what he has not really achieved anything in those areas. See, what he has done, he has isolated, like I said, the United States, right? So the Europeans are forming their own, agreements. Canada, France, Great Britain, Germany has just changed its constitution. Right? Oh, yeah, right. Says here, great point. Trump says, I don't know about that, and then changes the subject. That's exactly right. Yeah, right. He doesn't own up to anything. He doesn't acknowledge anything. And the truth is, I don't think he knows. I don't think he's saying it to defend or to armor himself. I think he says it because he really doesn't know. The entire weekend, it wasn't last weekend, but I think the weekend before, he spent playing golf. All of it. Right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. He has delegated everything. And again, in a corporation, Dave, what do?
Delegate.
You delegate. You delegate. That's what you do. You delegate. That's what he's done. So European powers are making their own, agreements. Canada is, like I said, Great Britain, France, Germany changed its constitutions to in order to be able to, but number one, increase its military force, probably bring back conscription, and also increase its military budget. Okay, Poland is already on the way there anyway. Other countries are following suit, and Turkey and Poland are getting closer as well. Something I didn't think would happen happened. Japan, South Korea, and China are talking now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when it came to the sell-off, and the only reason, and I will say this again, I've had many discussions since then, and I will tell you in a second why I wasn't here last week. I've had many discussions around this. The only reason Donald Trump rescinded his exorbitant tariffs was because Japan was starting to sell off U.S. Treasury bonds. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go into what U.S. Treasury bonds are. Everybody should know by now. Suffice it to say, they're IOUs to the Federal Reserve, which the Federal Reserve then sells to other countries as long-term investments. Good investments, normally. But if they start to sell them off, confidence in the U.S. dollar is going to diminish. And that is bad for the U.S. dollar and for the U.S. in general. The U.S. is in such a dominant position because every country in the world looks at the U.S. dollar as a reserve or crisis currency. It just does, right? It has been for the last 80 years. But that's changing now. Add to that the fact that the petrodollar is now finished. Okay, there was a 50-year treaty that the Americans had with OPEC that oil could only be traded in US dollars. That treaty expired a couple of months ago. Okay, it was it was Nixon. At the same time, Nixon in a secret meeting got America off the gold standard and onto the petrodollar standard, and that's how it's been for the last 50 years. But that is now that agreement is null and void, no longer exists. Now, all of these tariffs, and this is the problem, really, right? It's okay to put tariffs on things to protect your industries. Countries do it. It's okay, but you can't put tariffs on everything and meaninglessly. It doesn't make any sense because it just doesn't, right? But as soon as the bonds were sold off by Japan, Donald Trump stopped the tariffs, other than the 10%, general tariffs, as well as the tariffs on China. So those are still in effect, but all the other tariffs were rescinded because, as I said, if the world loses faith in the US dollar, that is very, very bad for America. Very bad. The world will go on. There might be another reserve currency. Could be the euro. It could be the British pound. It could be the Swiss franc. Who knows? Could be anything, right? But my money would probably be either the euro or the British pound. They're very strong currencies. Okay, so that's what he's done. Further, what happened was that now people in America are talking about stagflation, which means the economy is stagnating, which means it's shrinking, but inflation remains high. Prices remain high. So economic activity dies down, but what normally happens, prices fall. But in the stagflation, prices keep going up, and in this case, artificially so because of tariffs. That's right. And recently, the head of the Federal Reserve said, no, I'm not going to change the interest rate. I'm not going to do it. And Donald Trump got really upset. He wants to fire him, right? He's got another year in his term. And the Federal Reserve is completely independent of the US government, which Dave and I have mentioned many, many times. The Federal Reserve is not a federal governmental organization. It's an independent institution that is pretty much owned by private banks.
That's right.
Okay. So they don't care pretty much what Donald Trump says. Anyway, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But Donald Trump was upset about that. So tariffs will make things more expensive for Americans unless they stop consuming. Because most of the things in America and anywhere in the world, really, I mean, you look at any of your products anywhere around you and you look where they're made. The answer is China. Most likely, 80%, 8 out of 10 times, it'll be China. However, because American tech companies were hurting, Donald Trump excluded semiconductors and phones and the like from those tariffs. He excluded them because they're all made in China. They're all made in China. If the tariffs had stayed, and for the next few months, an iPhone would have cost you $5,000. Personal computers would have gone up, probably 3-4 times in price. Everything, and that's pretty much these days, anything that has a chip in it would have gone up. Okay, so it was a no-brainer. But what this says to me is this, Dave: these tariffs were put in place willy-nilly and without any thought whatsoever. They were just put in, and consequences be damned. So that's what's happened. What further thing, which is really interesting, that has happened is Donald Trump has now affirmed, as well as Steve Bannon, that they're looking for a third term. Right now, if that were to happen, if you actually play this out, that could be catastrophic. Not just it'd be catastrophic for the United States. Again, the world is gonna be okay. Yes, America is the second largest, or actually it's still by margin, it's still the largest economy in the world. But don't forget that California alone is the 5th largest economy in the world, right? And the economies that follow are China and Japan and Germany. And if you take the Eurozone as one economy, it's bigger than America. Okay. So will the world be okay? Yes, the world is going to be okay. People will find other markets, right? I mean, 300 million Americans is a great market, but it's not critical. It isn't. Will people, suffer? Will jobs be lost? Yes. But there will be adjustments, and America will be isolated, because America won't just be isolated economically. America is going to be isolated diplomatically. Because the Europeans now realize America's not going to come and help us. That's why they're increasing their defense spending. Australia is looking at AUKUS thinking, well, we're never going to get the submarines, right? And it is highly unlikely that America would come to the aid of Australia. Highly unlikely. They would secure Pine Gap, sure. They had even, the port of Darwin. But other than that, I don't think they would give a hoot about Australia. Sorry, I should say the Trump administration. Americans themselves, the American military, the Senate, the Congress, they know the importance of Australia and Europe, for that matter. But there's an isolation effect now that America is undergoing. And not only that, now you think, okay, fair enough, these people are far away, it doesn't matter if I upset them. But America has upset its closest friend, I want to say, right? It's like you go to your best friend, you punch him in the nose, and that's Canada. I mean, I don't understand it, Dave. I don't get it. Why would you go and destroy a 200-year relationship like that? Because the Canadians are on a drive to buy Canadian, don't buy American, don't have anything to do with you, you're crazy, and off you go. Never mind the practical difficulties there would be. So let's look at the practicality. And I'm curious what you think. Number one, to bring manufacturing back, and it won't be manufacturing of making shoes and sewing T-shirts like we see with the memes out of China now for the Trump administration. But in order to bring manufacturing back, you have to go on a journey, right? These factories either don't exist anymore or they've been scaled down significantly. So it'll take years to build the physical factories, to reestablish supply chains, and most importantly, to train the workforce. It'll take years, right? Not tomorrow, but it'll take years. In the meantime, tariffs are going to kill you. The other thing that is happening is the resources, right? America imports resources because it needs them. Not because it wants to, necessarily, but because it needs them, right? and it just doesn't. Again, it makes no sense to shoot yourself in the foot this way. But there we are. It also takes time to change consumer spending, right? And consumer habits, because if people like a certain thing, they want it, they want to buy it, and if they can't have it, they're unhappy. And we've seen, in fact, yesterday there were protests again across America, right? And we've seen protests last weekend across America as well. So this whole tariff idea is not a good idea. Donald Trump wiped $6 trillion of the value of the stock market. Now, that's actually wrong. He didn't wipe it off. He caused the stock market to fall, yes, to the tune of $6 trillion, yes. But then his cronies, and we know now they did, not all of them, but a lot of his circle bought stock. In his office, and this is something I wanted to mention to you, Dave, because I wasn't here last week, but you know who was in Donald Trump's office? Just when the shares had recovered and, began to fairly reasonable heights, he had Charles Schwab in his office.
Oh, really?
So Donald Trump was there talking to people, and then on one side there was Charles Schwab and some other guy, and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump said, "Yeah, it's great. Look, the stock market. My buddy's made $700 million, and apparently Charles Schwab made like $1 billion or something, whatever, right?"
Wow.
Now, why is Charles Schwab in Donald Trump's office as well? Okay, who is Charles Schwab, Dave?
Klaus Schwab, head of the WEF,
and
the Great Reset guy.
He's
the Bond villain.
He's the guy. The Bond villain. Yes. Blofeld. I like the Hitler cat, by the way, Dr. Flippy Underwear. That's funny. In the chat room. You should all go into the chat room. So he's the Great Reset guy. And what is Donald Trump doing? He's destroying the middle class. Why is he destroying the middle class? You say because the Great Reset requires the middle class to be destroyed. So Donald Trump hasn't done anything that is fundamentally changing America's trajectory for the positive. Mm-hmm. But again, it depends on what you want. If you want to be isolated from the rest of the world, if you want to get all brown people out, right? And that's another thing that I found. Now, I think the diversity, integration, and equality, I think it was, right?
Equality.
Inclusiveness,
Inclusiveness
went too far. It went too far. I believe, and I think in Great Britain they just ruled this, that a biological man cannot compete in a. Oh no, they ruled that a biological woman is a biological woman.
A woman is born a biological female.
Correct. That's it. And if you're not, then you're not.
That's right.
And I don't think it is fair. There's really a matter of fairness here, right? In sports, I don't think it's fair if a biological man competes in women's sports, because we know that men, on average, are physically stronger. It's a fact. It's just a difference in
the event data.
Yeah,
that's all you got to look
and hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and hormones are a real thing. And estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all these things. The biology plays a role in the distribution and configuration of your muscle mass and other things as well. Now, I'm not saying women aren't great athletes. Of course they are. But on average, pound for pound, a man is usually stronger, faster, and even more aggressive. Okay, that's a fact. So I don't think that should ever have happened. And also, I'm not keen on biological males going to female toilets either. So that's me. That's just me,
that's right?
I don't think, and I think Donald Trump did the right thing. And of course, I'm not vilifying the guy. He did a lot of good things, but you have to look at the overall picture, right? Now, but what has happened at the same time, this is something I really thought would face a lot more protest. He whitewashed military history, and I mean this in the true sense of the word. He's looking to whitewash the Smithsonian and the zoo. I don't know what he's going to do there. But essentially what he did, he removed all references to diversity, inclusion, and I think it's equality from any governmental website. So any special mention of women or non-white people or anything like that was removed, including the Enola Gay, which is, I think, still hilarious. But I mean, this is not about inclusion. This is specifically about the service record of people in the military. Irrelevant if they're black or white or green. I don't care if you're a good soldier and you've done something to maybe save your squadron or whatever it might be. I don't know, whatever it is. Then that's good, irrespective of your color. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't even matter if you're a woman. But the funny thing is, he fired all colored and all female leading military figures, right, that we had. He has fired the female commander of the Greenland base, of the American Greenland base, because she didn't want to be associated with all the things that Mr. Vance said. Okay. And there we are. I mean, if you're a person of color in the United States right now, right, you got to be kicking yourself, because none of the things he's done for you, right? He's anything he's taken away from you, your history, your accomplishments. I find it very, very strange. As an outsider looking into the United States, I find it really odd. And he will not leave office, is my opinion, right? This is now getting to a point where the Americans have been so bombarded with messages over the last little bit that a lot of them have started to stick. There was a study undertaken some time ago. If you bombard people with negative messages and you put them into a fearful state of mind, right, you will not be able to reverse that.
No, that's right.
You change the message, you take all the bad messages away, and you only bombard them with positive messages, they will retain largely that negative or fearful or uncertain mindset. And you start looking at when Fox News started to have these flashing alerts, breaking news, or some horrible thing happened.
Sound, dong, war on terror.
Yeah. All of that has gone on for a while now, right? And he's just capitalizing on it. And he's sending simple messages. Simple messages are easy to digest, right? We get rid of the evildoers. We get rid of this, we do this and the other. And it's hilarious. I do watch a lot of the press interaction with Donald Trump and his press secretary. I forget her name now. Caroline something, Levitt. Caroline Levitt. And And it's actually fun. I used to watch the Fox channel, and I specifically watched Bill O'Reilly. You know why? That was my comic relief. I thought he was hilarious. Now, of course, he wasn't meant to be hilarious, but I thought he was. It was just funny. He's still around. He's actually on News Nation.
I've seen him. Yeah.
He's funny. He's funny. I can't take him seriously, but he's hilarious, right? So I watch him for comic relief. And I'm watching her now, and him, Donald Trump, when he interacts with the press for comic relief. There's a guy, actually a lady, it was a lady who asked the question about the guy who was deported because of an administrative error or whatever. It doesn't matter. And Donald Trump says, I don't like that question. I'm not going to answer your question. And then someone else in the room said, I've got a question. Yeah, yes, you got a question. Go ahead. Is it true that you recently did something? I can't remember what it was, but you recently did something amazing. Apple is investing. That's right. Apple is investing, I don't know, $500 gazillion to build something in America. All right. That sort of was a statement. It was a statement. And Donald Trump was there. There you go. That's a question I like. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a question. It was not a question. It wasn't. It was a positive statement about Donald Trump. That's what he likes. He doesn't like anything else. And the one thing that worries me most of all is that you must be personally loyal to him, not the Constitution, not the political process, not the American people. You need to be loyal to Donald Trump if you want to survive in his administration.
Otherwise, you'll get
Right,
"You're fired."
You're
Remember
fired.
the TV show, right?
That's
Do
exactly
you
it.
remember Ronald Reagan uttered on the deck of the aircraft carrier before one of the wars? He just recollected the exact script from the role he played on the deck, giving his last address to the troops about to fight. He recalled it word for word, even the pausing. It was there, programmed. He said it, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's so tremendous." But he was an actor.
He was
And
an actor.
he said it, the lines, word for word, and it was hard. You connected with it, and it was very powerful. This is the thing. You're right, Becky. You really are, with the strength that the Trump is portraying, that requires 100% dedication from all the people who report to him. Is it the fear of being let go? I'm going to say yes. I don't know. It's my presumption, but that's the way it seems to be. Their happiness is worrying to me, like I said at the opening. Almost a cold open. But this is it. So, watching this play out, I have a fear that where this is the tip of the iceberg. We're 4 months in. 4 months. And the speed at which things have been turned around, but they end up having to be all the presidential orders to remain. They must have a bill put through the Senate and voted on and approved for that to be maintained. So we still have a lot of stuff that has to be, let's call it ratified. Now, I've got a thing up here on the screen, Mickey, that we're on our feed, and this is I made the claim earlier in the show that if you want to know how much advantage male athletes have over female athletes,
Oh yeah.
in the same event, I've got it up here. It's actually pretty cool. They talk about the percentage of WR, and that's basically how much the comparison is between the two. So if I was saying a 100-meter event, the men's time is 9.58, women's is 10.49, and that means that the women are competing at 91.33% of the male's capacity. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And it's or in inferiority of 8.67%. The graph's on the screen. The link will be below, so you can examine this for yourselves. But at no point is the WR higher than males in all of these. These are field events: 100 meters up to the 10,000, the marathon, the relays, long jump, triple jump, high jump, and pole vault. There's not any of those events that are where women are better than men. I'm not saying men are better. I'm just saying if you were looking at this as it's a playing field, a level playing field, it's not fair for a man to compete in a women's event. That's what I'm saying. As far as, deleting DEI off the whole planet, pretty much, and by leading that way, that was too fast, I think, and it's made people's heads spin. It's certainly been an arguing point against Trump. So the speed at which some of these things have come up have just added ammunition to the left, who hate on Trump with an emotional value that's higher than you can measure. Remember that immediacy. If you just mention the word Trump, someone's going to straight away hate him. Then there's not even a pause. You've pressed the button and now they're just in hatred mode. This emotional connection that we have to, let's call it the political group of people. We're seeing it here. We've got, I know we have an election coming up in less than 2 weeks now, Mackie. And
We do.
And we've seen some of our politicians really attempt and take great lengths to try to emulate the Clive Palmer saying he's the Trump-et patriot. Trump-et. You know what? He's bigger than Trump in girth.
Oh, yeah.
His
He's,
own party
quite
left him
small.
while he was eating at the buffet. His own party, I heard. They just couldn't keep watching him eat that much food. Anyway, that's by the by. We've had our right say they're going to axe, 40,000 jobs from the public service. That's insane.
40.
40. A great deal. Most of them will probably be contractors. And the only reason government puts contractors on isn't because it's cheaper. It's not. It's more expensive. But it gets the work done because the public servants, for the most part, are way slower than the contractors because contractors come from private with that really need to push to get this thing done. But if someone in government can happily just push it to the next day. And if you've ever seen a project schedule for a government, it's everything shifts to the right. It's almost like you've got it on an angle and it's tipping like water running down the page. It's just awful how much things shift out to the right during any project with the government. Private industry, they try to make it so it's already done before it gets to the completion because there's benefits from ending something quickly. It's cheaper because the cost per hour, everyone's getting paid. So anyway, my point is that the right tried that and then were told very promptly that half of the public service is female and you're against us, so we're not going to vote for you. And that was backtracked. The equivalency of we're going to end work from home.
That was
the work from home.
Flip-flop.
A flip-flop.
It wasn't a backtrack. It was a massive flip-flop.
Backtrack. So he also said we're going to end the work from home, and everyone who had been comfortable going, you know what, it actually works better with our lives now, and now that's going against females from the working from home and the kid pickup and everything. So that was also really bad. So that was also, oh, no, we're not doing that. So I just think it's funny. Clive Palmer spent, how much was it, $70 million and didn't win a single seat?
He got one seat.
Oh, you got one
But
seat?
yeah, it was.
He
he
needs
got one
two
seat.
seats.
It's the most expensive seat in the history of politics, I think. What?
But look, saying all that, I'm endlessly amused by politics. I can see straight through it. It's like they're transparent. I don't understand. America, though, different. It does affect the planet. Australia, it's going to affect Tasmania. We don't have enough pull to have any weight in the world in order to bargain with anything. And I think we're going to get, with 1 minute to go, I think we're going to easily ruin our agriculture by allowing, at least to get some point, avoiding our biosecurity, just be able to get zero tariff. We'll have to import something into something to be able to do it, even though we're a net exporter of beef. I'm not going to go against American beef. I know what happened to Oprah. Not a chance. I'd love my McDonald's burgers, please. Can they be American beef?
There's the music.
Let's bring American chickens here too. Why not? I'm happy with that. Do like, share, subscribe, and comment. And at the other end of this break, we're going to be talking about Mind Control Part 7. And Meki, I will share with you the page number we're up to. Oh, and there's a new stream for the next hour. See you after the short break.